The latest national poll shows a virtual dead heat between the Liberals and the Conservatives ahead of the fall election. With a breakdown of what this all means, we go now to Nanos on the numbers.
Thank you, Dorana. Well, it's our last Nanos on the numbers for the summer. So I'm here with Nik Nanos. Nick, how are you?
Good, Don.
Summer starts right now.
You bet.
Right after this.
Excellent.
All right, let's talk about the fact. We're going to take into account the factor that women play on the polling as well today. So we're going to take general and then segment it down to where the women are, are included only in the ballot. So let's start with the national ballot tracking. Let's have a look at what you've seen there. It's kind of interesting.
When we look at the national ballot tracking, it's pretty clear that 2019 generally was good for the Conservatives. You can see that the Conservatives have had a lead, either a small or significant lead for a big part of 2019 until this week, where now you can see it's a dead heat. 33% for the Conservatives, 33% for the Liberals. The NDP are at around 17, Greens 10 or 11, and what we have closing out the season is basically a dead heat between the Liberals and the Conservatives.
Okay, well, before we move into taking the women-only consideration on this number, I'm curious, do these ballot numbers tend to freeze during the summer in the sense that everyone tunes out of politics?
Did you say freeze? Like it's hot this summer?
Well, their political interest goes into freeze.
Okay. Yeah,
does it tend to stop changing much over the summer, or do you see a lot of the bouncing balls?
Yeah, usually what happens once the House kind of adjourns, once politics is off the radar, it's a bit like autopilot. The only way the numbers really move is if there's a major ad campaign, a major mistake, or a major controversy either for the Liberals or the Conservatives. So probably what we would expect for the summer is basically a steady state trend line where it's a close race between the Liberals and the Conservatives until people start focusing on the election, which will probably be closer to Labor Day.
Okay, well, the day after Labor Day when we come back in the air as power play. Anyway, okay, let's talk about, you have women factored into the ballot tracking, only women's votes. That gets a bit better for Justin Trudeau.
Well, not just that. It's what this explains is that what has tightened the race between the Liberals and the Conservatives has been fundamentally a result of a shift in opinions among women voters. So, take a look at this trend line. 6 to 8 weeks ago, you can see just as many women considered voting or wanted to vote for the Conservatives as the Liberals. Fast forward to now, and the Liberals have opened up an 8-point lead. Now, I'm going to say something that I'll probably get in trouble for saying. Okay. Can I do that since it's the last one of the season?
Why not?
This trend line coincidentally has happened with the Liberals trying to put abortion on the menu. Him talking about Vice President Pence and bringing it up with him, the Prime Minister doing that, the Prime Minister wanting to talk about that. And I think what the numbers suggest is that the Liberals had a very tough time with the SNC-Lavalin controversy, that voters were upset about that they were disappointed in the Prime Minister, but that talking about abortion was effectively a reset for the Liberals, but only among women voters. So think of it this way. Women might have been disappointed with the Prime Minister. They might not have liked those resignations. They might not be happy with the SNC-Lavalin controversy, but the Prime Minister putting abortion on the table has basically been a bit of a reset, and now the Liberals are back in the game because women voters are going back to them.
Sunny ways. All right, Justin Trudeau's preferred Prime Minister status seems to be, I'm looking, still pretty close.
Well, not just that, it's still negative. So this is the other kicker in this. This Liberal trend line where they're back in the race has nothing to do with Justin Trudeau.
Nothing.
Because you look at his numbers and they're still negative. Actually, what's happened is, as you can see, just as many people would pick Justin Trudeau pretty well as Andrew Scheer's preferred Prime Minister as unsure. Kind of like the none of the above. So we don't see, even though the Liberal numbers have recovered in the last number of weeks, we don't see that same recovery for Justin Trudeau.
Wow, that's interesting. When was the last time you saw unsure equal or ahead of the leaders in terms of preferred Prime Minister?
Almost never.
Okay.
How's that for a definitive statement?
All right, we're into uncharted territory, but put women only on the ballot in terms of making their opinions felt, and look what you have here.
So you would think, so we saw women from a voting perspective shifting over to the Liberals, but We haven't seen the same trend line for the Prime Minister himself. And actually, what's interesting is 3 out of 10 women are unsure who would make the best Prime Minister. And you can see Andrew Scheer's numbers going down. You can see the Prime Minister not performing as well as he has over the first part of his mandate. So this speaks to the fact that the movement in the numbers has nothing to do with leadership. It has to do with policy issues that have been discussed, and the Liberals focusing on the A word. And I'm not talking about a Canadian EHA, the other A word that is much more controversial and much more inflammatory and kind of has activated at least some voters, most likely to be women.
You're going to see the fear-mongering ratchet up, I think, on this one. All right, Nik Nanos, have a great summer. We'll be seeing you in September, and we'll see what happens. That's campaign time. Appreciate you coming.